Ready. Sorry about
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to our next connection. Well, this is our third connection. We are at the end of week four of the legislative session, and I mostly want to talk about next week, since we have next week coming up, and want to make sure everybody's all prepared for what we need you to be doing on that day. So. What time, Greg? What time do you think you guys will get here? Just sorry to ask that.
Well, we're gonna leave at 8:05.
Okay.
So
9:30.
9:30.
And you have to leave at what time to get back?
We want to be back by 4.
Okay, so you should probably take off around 2 just because of traffic.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would like you to do in preparation for next week is, I know you guys divided into groups to do the analysis, so maybe those are the right groups, but you should be in groups of 4 to 5 people.
Okay.
And that group should work on your key messages that you want to articulate to legislators. You already did that for my testimony. By the way, did anybody know that we were on, I think it was either Cairo or Como radio, and the quote that they played was the one about teenagers being lazy. So we actually made it to the radio with Ballard Capital Classroom on after the hearing on the bill. So you guys are famous. And they called me a civics education teacher, so I got promoted, which was awesome. Or demoted. No, I think promoted. So what I want you to do is divide into groups of 5 and develop your strongest arguments you think you have for Senate Bill 5110. And what you'll be doing when you get there in the morning, we're going to go walking around the Capitol. We'll do a little bit of touring of it as well, but I'm going to send you guys into different offices and to the floor. The schedule's slightly changed, so I'm still working on whether they're going to actually be on the floor or not. So you'll be meeting in small groups with legislators to talk to them about the bill. The other thing I want to tell you is there's multiple other bills that have been introduced now. And in the House, so in your bill tracking report that I sent earlier this week,
We got it.
Yep, and I'm going to send you an updated one this afternoon.
Wow.
There's another bill that deals with automatic voter registration. So there's a variety of bills out there. If you have time before Wednesday, at least reading the digest of those bills or the summary of them to know what the different pieces are out there will be helpful, because particularly if you're meeting with members from the House, remember, your bill is a Senate bill, so members of the House have not yet seen it, but they also have a bill. It's 13. This is the one I want to make sure you for sure look at, is 1342.
We got it. We're on it.
Great.
Got a team on it. We got a team on all the new bills.
Awesome. So you guys are going to be ready
Emma,
to talk about all those
Nick,
things
Alex, Jack, and Camille.
when you meet with legislators. So the way this will go is you'll arrive probably around 9:30. I'm going to take you into the rotunda, which is the big Capitol Dome building, and kind of show you around in there a little bit. We will gather there and get you your assignments, and hopefully I'll have one of the gals that works with me helping out with herding people around. We'll probably have a camera crew with us for at least part of the day from TVW to capture the work you guys are doing. And then, so we'll do that until about 11:15 or so. And then we're going to head to, we have to walk about, like I said, about a block to the church that we rented their basement for lunch. And I've got lunch for you guys coming there. I'm hoping to have a speaker for you during lunch. And then we're going to go back to the Capitol and go into the House Rules Room at 1:10 and meet with your legislators, Senator Carlisle, Representative Tarleton, and Representative Frame. We'll do that for about 45 minutes, and then that will kind of be the wrap up of the day. I actually have to go testify in a hearing at 1:30. So I'll be hopping over there, and I'll probably have Sarah, if you've got time, you guys can come over and see a hearing going on before you take off to go meet the bus.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, so are there any questions about either questions about our bills and what's happening with them, or about Wednesday and what to expect, or any of that kind of stuff that I can answer for you? Yeah.
How do we need to dress on Wednesday?
Oh, I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
How do we need to dress on Wednesday?
Yeah, I remember I would prefer as professional as you can dress. So it is a formal environment here. I would ask for no, really jeans and ripped jeans and band t-shirts and baseball caps are not good. If you can wear, what you would wear to a nice event, or if you're doing a debate or a concert or those kinds of things. I mean, you don't need to put on your tuxedo, but something professional. And ladies, your skirts should not be short. We're not advertising that. We're advertising your brains. So let's make sure that you appear as professional as you possibly can. One of the things that we learn very early on in this environment is the thing you have, whether it's this professional environment or any others, your reputation and your relationships are what get you through in any job. And so how you present yourself is very important. So as professional as you can. Now, again, don't go out and spend a bunch of money on new clothes or anything, but what you have is as professional as you can get. Yeah.
What are we eating for lunch?
I have a caterer coming. They are doing a variety of options for you. I have sandwich platters and chips and cookies and I think like potato salad and stuff like that. In the back in a gray sweatshirt, I see hand up.
Did Mr. Pfizer tell you that some of us have like food allergies and all that jazz?
No tomato.
Well, I know Shelley emailed you about that, Mr. Pfizer. Did you get that?
Yes, we asked, yes, we talked about that yesterday.
Okay, great. So there should be options.
To Shelley.
Yeah, so the caterer will be bringing options for everybody with respect to those issues. Any other questions about our bills, where they are, about your arguments? What did you think of the testimony? You watched it, I'm assuming.
Yes, it was cool.
A little more. So yeah, we should have some questions. We have questions written down. Lots of people have questions.
Yeah, let's ask them.
All right.
I have a question about Bill 1471.
Yep.
Talking about having a superintendent come down on a day where there's no school and it's like reserved for seniors to vote. Can you explain that a little more about the Temperance and Good Citizenship Day?
Okay, let me pull that up. Oh yeah, this is the, yep. Okay. Did you watch the hearing on this by any chance?
Not on 1342. We watched your hearing, 5110.
Okay.
Let's see. Look here. Temperance and Good Citizenship Day. Yeah. Oops. So basically, what they're trying to do here is create a day where every in each county. So the auditor is the person that manages elections for each county. They would allow and have each history or social studies class sign up. So essentially, it's creating another opportunity, in sort of consistent with what we are talking about with the motor voter registration. That would basically, there'd be a day where the auditor and other officials would coordinate with, like Mr. Faiza, and say, all right, we're going to have a day where everybody signs up to register. So it seems that it's another option in the list of things that might be good for getting people registered to vote. And I did not get to go to that hearing, but I will watch the testimony on that this weekend and see if there was any opposition. I don't think there was. Let's see. Testimony. Nope, it doesn't say if there was any testimony opposed, but we'll take a look. So essentially, I think it's just one more idea that people are looking at in terms of providing options for people to register to vote early. Have you guys talked about that? And do you have a position on that? Do you want to be supportive of that as another option?
I support it. I think it'll be more convenient towards the 17-year-olds knowing that it's literally coming to them and designated a day.
Does anybody not support that idea?
He's not here.
He's not here.
So what I would suggest when you all are talking to people on Wednesday is, it seems to me that the argument you have is that there are several really good ideas out there, all of them in an attempt to increase access for young people to register to vote, and that as a class you support all of those things. And maybe a suggestion you make to people is that they get blended into one bill, and it be like the Youth Voting Act of 2017. But yeah, I would definitely suggest that you speak to those issues as well, as especially since this is a House bill and you will be talking to some House members, as supportive of this. And then you can use talking about this bill as an opportunity, then say, we also support Senate Bill 5110 that's in the Senate, which we think also has the ability to increase youth access to voting.
Okay, so with all the new bills on the bill tracking summary.
Yeah.
So we'll have, I was thinking we'll have our different groups will sort of be specialists in of 5110 plus these additional bills, right? So they can be prepared to talk on each one of these bills.
So each group will have one bill, so that's good.
Everybody will have 5110,
right?
because that's our main thing. And
Yep.
then each group will have one of the other bills on the bill tracking.
Okay, that's perfect. And then that will help me decide who to send you to. Is there any way you could send me via email the list of the groups, who's in them and which bills they're in charge of over the
Yes.
weekend, so that I can work on organizing who you're going to go see?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Any other questions on these bills or where we are? So one thing to note is that none of the bills, I want to make sure. So remember, I told you about deadlines, right? For our bills to stay alive, they have to move out of the committee by February 17th. So when you're making your arguments next week, you need to make sure that you're asking directly for these legislators to help get this bill out of committee, because it has to move out by the deadline. That's the policy committee deadline, is February 17th. So it's a week after you guys are there.
Okay.
Other questions? Right in the front.
I have a question about Senate Bill 5267.
Yep.
Going over it, I think I have a general idea of it, but it mentions having different methods of making it easier for people to vote, I guess. But can you just go over it a little bit?
Yeah, and this is that really complicated one. There's another version that was heard that you watched part of the testimony on it. Essentially, what they're trying to do is set up a process by which, if there's a group of people that feel like they are not being provided the opportunity to vote, they're trying to set up a process by which that would be dealt with. So I think we talked about this before, but the Federal Voting Rights Act was established many, many years ago that provides for protections for voters across the country. And what people have been hearing, and what the sponsors of these bills have been hearing, is that there are people that are feeling like they're not getting, maybe they moved from one district to another and their voter registration didn't follow them, or various different things are happening. And so they're trying to figure out if there's a way to establish policy at the state level that will help ensure that people maintain that right to vote. One thing to note is I'm trying to see if I can get the sponsor or one of the sponsors of this bill to talk to you guys at lunch. I'm still hopeful that will work out. And he can probably answer a lot more of the detailed questions, but that's sort of the big picture of what this bill is trying to accomplish.
Thank you.
Yep, there was another question behind you, I think. Yeah.
So I'm on the Senate Bill 5469, and I was just wondering, you could give us a bit more detail, because it was kind of difficult to understand what it was talking about. It's the one about, it just said relating to automatic voter registration, of certain licensees.
Okay, this is the bill that does automatic voter registration upon renewal of a license for people over 18. So essentially, this is what they call motor voter registration. So where ours is youth motor voter, this one's just motor voter. So I actually have to renew my license in 2 weeks when my birthday comes up. And so this bill, if it was enacted, it would automatically register me to vote unless I opted out of that. So that's an attempt to get older folks who might be lazy to register to vote when they renew their driver's license. And you can, I'll talk to you just real briefly about the political issues surrounding this. So, we had a very tight election in Washington State in terms of, remember we talked about how close it was and how the Senate and the House are very narrowly controlled. Well, both Democrats and Republicans want more of their people to vote, right? Because the next election, there's going to be more close elections. So they are looking at ways, not just sunshine and rainbows and how do we help people vote, but this is a political issue. Democrats want more Democrats to vote and Republicans want more Republicans to vote. So a lot of these issues are around how do you get more of your people registered so that they actually vote. I can't remember, maybe David will remember what the actual rate of, so you hear the turnout numbers, like 80% of registered voters turned out, but the number of people who are eligible to register who are actually registered to vote is very low across the nation. And I think it's a very low number. I'll get that for you, but that is the issue. And when people look at turnout and then also the potential people that could have voted, that's what they're trying to get at here with all of these bills. Yeah, back in the back.
Does anything happen if you don't vote while you're registered?
You are allowed to not vote if you choose not to. That is a right, not an obligation under the law. Some people believe it is your duty as a citizen to vote, but you are not obligated in any legal way to actually vote. Yeah, Gonzaga.
Opt out. Like, let's say someone doesn't want to be registered to vote. Like, how do they opt out?
Yeah, in this bill, in the 54 69, it says they have to just decline. So it's offered to them. Will be given so you go in, you get your driver's license. They'll say, "Here's your voter registration. Would you like to do that too?" And you check the box or whatever. And the person must be informed that his or her record will use for voter registration and offered the opportunity to decline to register. So it's essentially, we're going to register you to vote unless you say no. If you say no, then it doesn't happen.
Okay.
So, again, in the back.
Why would someone choose to opt out if they can just not vote?
I don't know. That's a good question. Some people don't want their personal information in a database. Some people want, who knows why people don't vote or don't register. Mostly, I think your arguments are very compelling that you guys wrote for the testimony. Mostly it's just people are generally kind of lazy. So a lot of this is, how do we figure out how to get people to get over their laziness? I think we have less than a minute left before you guys have to take off. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday. Please feel free to email me any questions that come up between now and then. And Mr. Faiza, we'll talk about where we're going to meet. Shelley just got the drop-off location, so we'll be meeting there.
Okay, great, thanks.
We'll talk in a couple minutes.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Leave call. All right.
I don't know. Let's see what the, let's do this. What is the percentage of people? So we have in the state of Washington, we have about approximately 5 million people. Where does it show? Where's their? Doesn't show the percentage. Okay, well, 2012. %65% is, I think, what the census says. That sound right?
It sounds, yeah, I think so.
I'm Corey Paulson, and I teach these wonderful students here, 8th grade humanities.
Great. I'm Jim Camden. I'm a reporter for the Spokesman Review First Election. That's a good question, and it goes back to the way the state was put together in.
I'm trying to find it. I had Jim Camden did a good job of explaining it in Washington State one time for we did our campaign classroom
Oh, right.
program this fall where we're gonna set up in the Blue House like this. I'm trying to find it. He did a great job, a great little explanation of it. It'll take a little bit of work to write it down.
Yeah, I think it's 65% registered and 56% voted. And that's in 2012. At least from the Census Bureau.
I wonder if the Secretary of State has some.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Voter participation table.
Yeah. There we go, 74%. Right?
2000,
Oh, 76%,
76%. Yeah, almost 77%.
which is not that bad. What's this? What's
Yeah.
this? What's the one on the far right? What's that title?
That's 60.
Percent of voting age population voting. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have 76% registered, 60% voting.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a big chunk. You're the parties, you're going, how do I get that?
Yes.
That's what you're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Well, that's better than the national average.
Yeah, and that was sort of what Jim Camden said. We're doing much better than what's going on nationally. Still room for improvement, but we're ahead of the curve.
God, my brother-in-law's up there in the cafeteria, and I was rushing to grab coffee and get down here, and I guess I walked right past him. He's like, "Hey, I'm just sitting here." Oops, sorry, dude. I'm on this,
So that was that Cairo or Como?
I kept searching. I searched everywhere for it. Somebody told me they heard it on the radio, and it was me.
Hi.
Education teacher Vicky Christopherson said, "Yeah."
So please come out and see that and tell your family. And hey, seniors, San Diego State University will be here today at 1:20 p.m. Here's Sam Blue. Hello, happy birthday to you.
That's good. That's right on time.
Please fill out the entire show.
Who's Teresa?
Have a good day, guys.
Yeah, okay, we're ready to go.
Great, let's get going. Hi, guys.
Can Jocelyn sit back there and I can sit here?
Okay, let's get going because as usual, I'm up against a 10 o'clock deadline. So I want to talk just briefly today about our bills, answer any questions about our bills, but also spend a little bit of time talking about Wednesday and what to expect then. So first of all, and I know you all have seen that there are quite a few more bills dealing with voter registration issues, whether they be youth voter registration or just generally voter registration. So I want to answer any questions that you have about those. I think it's important to note that your bill, remember, your 5110, it has to move out of the Senate State Government Committee by February 17th. Otherwise, it will die. So we have a lot of work to do when you come down on Wednesday to convince people that it needs to move out of committee. So we are in week, is it 4 or 5? I think it's week 4. And so we have 2 more weeks before bills have to get out of the committee and their house of origin. And so let's talk a little bit about Wednesday. So you'll be getting down here probably around 9:30. And we will start by taking you into the Capitol building itself and kind of showing you around the Capitol Dome and get you oriented to the campus and where things are. And then you have already split yourself into groups related to the analysis you're doing on the bills. We're going to use those same groups to divide you up for going to meet with various legislators. And we'll be doing a variety of things. Some of you...
We're a little distorted.
We're a little distorted.
We're having a little technical problem. Hey, can you hear me?
How's that now?
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll be using the same groups you're using now for your analysis on the bills. Those will be your groups for meeting with legislators. So we will be having, some of you will be sending notes in to the legislators at the floor. Some will be going to their offices or other areas where they are to meet with various legislators. Again, your key bill is Senate Bill 5110, but as we've talked through this with the class before, and I think you probably will end up in the same place, there are a number of other bills that are consistent with the goals of 5110. And so it makes sense for you to talk about how these things are all good ideas and that they should be advanced by the legislature. Remember, when you're meeting on Wednesday with representatives, they will have only seen the House bills so far. And when you're meeting with senators, they will have only seen the Senate bills so far because those bills haven't moved through the process yet. So you'll need to be able to talk about both of those. So we'll do that for the morning pretty much. And then around 11:15 or so, we'll walk a block to where I have ordered lunch into a room that we'll be having lunch. And I'm hoping to have one of the sponsors of the more complicated bill, the Voting Rights Act bill, come and speak with you during the lunch hour. We're still working on that. And that if not, we'll have one of the advocate groups that are promoting those bills come and speak with you. And then after lunch, we'll go back over to the campus and you'll be going into the House Rules Room with your representatives and Senator Carlisle, Representative Charlton, and Representative Frame. And you'll get to meet with them for a little while. And then I have to go testify in a committee on another bill at around 1:30. So if you have time before you head back to your bus, you can come and watch that committee hearing a little bit and see how a committee hearing actually goes in person. So that's essentially how the day will go. I hope you saw the testimony on the bill that I gave on your behalf last week. One thing to note is that we ended up on the radio. A news story on the bill quoted me and actually played the tape and quoted the argument of students are generally lazy. So it was so we're going to try to, I've been trying to find the radio show. We're going to try to find it. It was reported to me by a friend who was listening to it. And the radio show reported that I was a civics education teacher. So I guess I've been promoted to teacher from lobbyist. So that's kind of where we are. So why don't we open up questions about Wednesday, questions about where 5110 or any of the other bills you've looked at on the bill tracking sheet, or any of those kinds of things.
Lots of questions. Yep.
Right in the front.
What should we wear? Like dress code?
Yep. We'll go back over the dress code again. That's good. Remember, like I said before, this is a professional environment. So ladies, I don't want your skirts to be short. That's not what we're selling here. Gentlemen, gentlemen, nicer pants, what you have. I don't want you guys to go out and feel like you have to go buy new outfits for this, but I would like you to be dressed as professionally as you can. Also, ladies, don't wear, 4-inch heels. Your feet are going to kill you by about, 1 hour into it. So, nice shoes, nice outfits, but comfortable. And remember that in any professional environment, no matter what you end up wanting to do with yourself when you grow up, the first impression is everything, right? So your reputation, your appearance, the way you present yourself are very important, and this place is no different. So professional environment. Other question? In the back.
What do groups need to be prepared with for talking to legislators?
Excellent. Great question. So you all have already done a really good job of writing up your talking points. And I want to commend everybody. Frankly, I had so much good material that you had sent to me in all of your talking points. And you saw how quickly the hearings go. So I had to just pick and choose a couple of them. But honestly, you've done a really tremendous job on your talking points. Those should be the basis by which you formulate what you're going to say to legislators. These are usually very quick meetings. So you want to be, what are your top 3 things you want to say about 5110? Or if there's other bills like the motor voter bill or the youth registration bill that you like that are in the House. So you want to have very quick, to the point talking points. Make sure that everybody has a chance to say something. You don't want to just kind of be the person just standing there looking, silly. So make sure everybody has something to say. But again, use what you already prepared for the hearing as the basis for that. So we call it, in my profession, we call it an elevator speech. So you want to formulate your arguments such that if you were in an elevator ride, you could deliver your points quickly. That's sort of how we think about it here. If you talk too long, you might lose them. They're busy. So really think about it in that context. Yep.
So are we going to be like approaching them as we see them?
We'll be helping you approach them. So in some cases, they might be on the floor of the House or Senate, so we'll be sending in notes to them. In some cases, we'll be taking you over to their offices to either talk to the legislator or their staff member. And so we'll help you facilitate that. Yeah, right in the front.
What exactly is the sending notes? You just write it out on a piece of paper and then you send somebody, you give it to them?
I should have brought a copy of the notepad for you. So in the legislative building, the big dome building, there's the Senate gallery and Senate floor and the House floor. This is where they sit, and you've seen actually this right here picture shows you what the floor looks like. So all the legislators are sitting on their desks, and outside. We can't go in there. We're not allowed. No public in there. But there's doors, big, huge wooden doors, and yes, there's pads of paper there. And you walk up and you write and I'll show you how to do this. You write your name, you write the name of the legislator you want to speak with, and you write them a little note saying, I'm here from Ballard High School and I'd like to speak with you about Senate Bill 5110. I'll show you how to do that. And you hand it to the security guard and they take it into them in the floor, and then you wait for them to come out. Yeah, it's very fancy. Other questions? Any questions about the other bills that you looked at that are on our bill tracker?
I can't see my hand.
And way over on the side. Yep.
Yeah, on Bill 1342, it's the one about voting electronically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just wondering, is that would they have to scan their signature on everything over, and is that how they do that? They fax or scan it?
Let me look. Without requiring the original ballot also be returned electronically. Yeah. So this will, all ballots sent by mail must include instructions for returning ballots electronically. So it could be a scan. I think there's probably a variety of ways that you could do that. Let's see what it says here. No, this is 1342. For a ballot returned electronically, the electronically transmitted image of the voter's signature on the ballot declaration is sufficient to accept the ballot for tabulation. So essentially, you're talking about a scanned copy, like you were just saying. It seems to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can talk to Representative Berquist. I'm hoping that we will see him, and so we can ask him what it is he is, what he's hoping to accomplish there. But I think it's really, if you think about people that maybe can't get to the post office or they don't have a stamp or whatever, I think this is an attempt to try to allow people to have a different way of returning their ballots. I think there might be some criticism of that. I'm not sure, but people might worry about fraud and whether signatures could actually be validated. So that'll be an interesting one to ask him about. Any questions? Are you guys excited about Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Capitol is a really cool place. You're going to enjoy it. It's very, very pretty too. Yeah, in the front?
So how do they decide the committee wants to move it on? What has to happen within the committee?
So the chair, first of all, the chair needs to decide that he wants to move it. So that's somebody that we're going to try to talk to on Wednesday and tell him that we really want it to move it. So he has to put it up for a vote, and then there have to be enough votes on the committee to move it forward. So one of the things that we're hopefully going to accomplish on Wednesday is urging the chair, which is Senator Malosha, to move that bill forward. And then also talking to the members of that committee to ensure that there's enough votes to get it out of committee. In the back?
So I'm not sure which bill it was. I wasn't working on it, but it was the House bill that's really similar to 5110. I was just wondering why they do that. Why they have very similar bills.
Yep. That's a really good question. So there's a couple things. First of all, when there is an identical bill, when every single word on the page of a Senate bill and every single word on the page of a House bill is identically the same, those are called companion bills. And in many cases, companion bills are introduced so that both bodies have the opportunity to think about them early on and move them forward. And eventually they will decide which one goes forward. But it's a strategy to make sure that the issue is being talked about in both the House and Senate. through the process. Now, in this case, I don't believe that 5110 has an actual companion, that meaning the exact same words. The one that I think you might be thinking of is 1471, which there's 1471 and 1342, two House bills. One of them, the 1471, creates a little bit different opportunity than the driver's license registration. Basically, what it says is the auditor, the county auditor, which is the person that administers the elections for your county, has to go out and create opportunities in high school social studies class for 17-year-olds to register to vote. So in this case, it would come to you in your class, and they would register you to vote there. And then the other bill that's similar is a motor voter registration for people 18 and over. And that is simply, so it is, I have to go renew my license in a couple weeks because it's going to be my birthday and my license is expiring. What that bill would do is for people over 18 would automatically register those people to vote when they renewed their license. And I think one of the things you have to remember here is, aside from the sort of feel-good part of this, that we want to make sure people have an opportunity to vote, this is really, both Democrats and Republicans, they are very interested in figuring out how to get more people to register to vote, because obviously they want to try to get them to vote for their candidates. So in Washington State, we were just looking this up while we were on the break. In Washington State, we actually have a very high voter registration. So of the people over 18 who are eligible to vote, 76% of Washington citizens register to vote. Now that means that that there's about 24% of the population over 18 who has not registered to vote. And both the Democratic parties and the Republican parties want to see those folks register to vote. So I think David just put this graph up for you. Now you have 76.83% of our citizens have registered to vote. Of that, only 60% of our citizens have actually voted. So parties, Democrats and Republicans, are constantly on a goal to try to get as many people to register and then get turnout to be their voters to turn out so that they can win. So all these proposals are aimed at achieving that result. And we are about ready to wrap up. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys next week. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. Between now and then, if you have any questions for me, any issues that come up before you come down, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer it. Otherwise, I'll see you when you get off the bus next week.
Okay, great. Thanks, Vicki. I have one really important question. Important question. Is the Senate going to vote to extend the levy lid so we don't throw every school district in the state into convulsions?
Yes, it will happen. It probably won't happen in the next week or so, but it is going to happen.
Okay. Someone told me it was supposed to happen today. They're supposed to vote.
I don't think they're on the floor today.
Okay, good. Okay, I'll tell all the new teachers not to.
Don't worry. It'll be fine.
They're really worried though.
I promise.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.